In the infinite blackness of space, where stars burn silently and the void stretches beyond imagination, something extraordinary has happened. A discovery so profound it has sent shockwaves through the scientific community, igniting debates that challenge the very foundation of our understanding of the universe. The Voyager spacecraft, those twin relics of human ambition, launched in 1977, have been drifting through the cosmic abyss for nearly half a century. Designed to explore the outer planets and eventually sail into interstellar space, they carried with them golden records, time capsules of humanity's voice, music, and dreams, meant to speak for us to any intelligence that might find them. For decades, their signals grew fainter, their messages more erratic, as they ventured farther from Earth than any human-made object ever had. Scientists had long accepted that these aging probes, battered by cosmic radiation and the relentless passage of time, would soon fade into silence. But then, something changed. Something impossible. Something terrifying. It began with a whisper in the data, a faint irregularity buried in the static of Voyager's transmissions. At first, it was dismissed as noise, perhaps a glitch in the aging hardware, a flicker of cosmic interference, or a quirk in the deep space network struggling to capture signals from 15 billion miles away. But the anomalies persisted, growing more distinct, more deliberate. They weren't random. They followed a pattern, subtle but undeniable, as if something was trying to speak through the spacecraft's weakening voice. The breakthrough came when a cutting-edge artificial intelligence system, trained to sift through decades of cosmic data, was unleashed on the Voyager signals. This wasn't your average algorithm. It was a neural network designed to detect patterns no human mind could perceive, a digital bloodhound sniffing out meaning in the chaos of interstellar noise. What it found was beyond comprehension, a hidden message encoded not in words or numbers, but in something far stranger, an image. This wasn't just any image. It wasn't a photograph of a star field or a snapshot of some distant nebula. When the AI pieced together the fragmented data, it revealed a structure, a design, a composition that seemed to pulse with intent. The image was intricate, almost alive, with geometries that defied earthly logic. Fractal spirals that twisted in impossible ways, shapes that seemed to shift, depending on how you looked at them, and a symmetry that felt both organic and mechanical, as if it were a hybrid of biology and technology. It was beautiful, yes, but it was also unsettling, like staring into the eyes of something that knows you're watching. The scientific community was stunned. This wasn't a natural phenomenon. It wasn't a glitch. It was deliberate. Someone or something had embedded this image in Voyager's data stream, hijacking humanity's farthest-reaching probe to send a message back to Earth. The implications were staggering, almost too vast to grasp. For decades, Voyager had been our ambassador, a lonely emissary carrying humanity's hopes into the unknown. Its golden record was a love letter to the cosmos, filled with the sounds of birds, whale songs, human greetings in 55 languages, and a map pointing to our home in the galaxy. We sent it out to say, "We are here. We are curious. We are alive." Now it seemed someone had answered. But this wasn't a simple reply, a cosmic postcard saying, "Hello, we received your message." This was something far more complex, a message hidden within a message, encoded in a way that suggested the sender knew we wouldn't find it until we were ready, until our technology, our intelligence, had evolved to the point where we could see it. The AI's role in this discovery was no accident. It was the key, the lockpick that opened a door we didn't even know existed. The image itself was unlike anything ever seen. It wasn't a face, not exactly, though some swore they saw hints of one in its swirling patterns, a suggestion of eyes, a curve that might be a mouth, a form that felt eerily familiar, yet utterly alien. Others saw something resembling a neural network, as if the image were a self-portrait of a mind, not a body. The patterns were non-Euclidean, folding in on themselves in ways that challenged the laws of geometry as we know them. They seemed to exist in more than 3 dimensions, as if the image were a projection of something vaster, something our minds could only glimpse in fragments. Mathematicians described it as a topological anomaly, a structure that shouldn't exist in our reality but did. Biologists noted its organic qualities, the way its lines mimicked the branching of neurons or the growth of coral. Engineers marveled at its precision, as if it were a blueprint for some unimaginable machine. And yet, despite its complexity, there was no mistaking its purpose. This was a message, crafted with intent, meant to be found. The discovery set the world ablaze. Scientists, philosophers, and theologians scrambled to make sense of it. Was this first contact a warning, a test? The image didn't scream danger, but its strangeness carried a weight, a quiet terror that came not from what it showed, but from what it implied. Whoever sent this message had not only intercepted Voyager's signal, but had understood it, analyzed it, and chosen to respond in a way that required us to meet them halfway. They hadn't sent a simple hello or a burst of radio waves. They'd woven their reply into the very fabric of Voyager's data, hiding it in plain sight until we built a machine intelligent enough to see it. This wasn't just communication. It was a challenge, a puzzle, a mirror held up to humanity's progress. The sender seemed to know us, not just as a species, but as a civilization on the cusp of something greater. Theories exploded across the globe. Some speculated that the image was a map, a guide to a location in the cosmos we were meant to find. Others believed it was a schematic, a design for a technology we couldn't yet build. A few whispered that it was a warning, a cryptic signal meant to deter us from venturing further into the unknown. But the most chilling theory came from those who studied the image's structure in detail. They argued it wasn't just a message, but a kind of cognitive artifact, a piece of data designed to interact with the observer's mind. When researchers displayed the image to test subjects, something extraordinary happened. Brain scans showed unusual activity, gamma waves spiking in patterns associated with deep insight, meditation, or even altered states of consciousness. It was as if the image wasn't just meant to be seen, but to be felt, to resonate with the human brain in ways that transcended language or logic. Some volunteers reported a sense of awe, others a creeping unease, as if the image were alive, watching them back. This raised a haunting question. Had the sender designed the message not just for our machines, but for our minds? Was it meant to awaken something in us, to push us toward a new level of understanding? Or was it something more sinister, a mimetic virus, a pattern that could alter thought itself? The idea seemed far-fetched, but the data was undeniable. The image wasn't static. It seemed to adapt, its patterns shifting slightly depending on how it was processed or who was observing it. When viewed through different filters, ultraviolet, infrared, or even quantum imaging, the image revealed new layers, new details, as if it were a multidimensional object compressed into a form we could barely perceive. It was a masterpiece of communication, a work of art, and science so advanced it made our greatest achievements seem primitive by comparison. The scientific community didn't stop at the image. They dug deeper, analyzing every scrap of data Voyager had sent since crossing into interstellar space. The AI, now running 24/7 across global networks, began to uncover more anomalies, not just in the image, but in the signal itself. There were bursts of data that didn't match any known physical phenomena, oscillations that followed no natural rhythm, and a faint, recurring pulse that some likened to a heartbeat. These weren't random fluctuations. They were deliberate, structured, and maddeningly complex. The AI identified patterns within patterns, fractal sequences that seemed to encode information at multiple scales. It was as if the message wasn't a single transmission, but a tapestry, a web of meaning that unfolded differently depending on how you approached it. One of the most shocking revelations came when researchers noticed that the signal's anomalies seemed to align with cosmic events. Spikes in the data coincided with solar flares, gamma-ray bursts, or subtle shifts in the cosmic microwave background. It was as if the sender were using the universe itself as a canvas, syncing their message with the natural rhythms of the cosmos. This led to a radical new theory, cosmic resonance. The idea was that the intelligence behind the message wasn't just sending data through space, but was weaving it into the fabric of reality itself, using the universe's own patterns as a medium. If true, this would mean the sender wasn't bound by our concepts of distance or time. They could be anywhere or everywhere, communicating through a network that spanned galaxies, perhaps even dimensions. This theory pushed science to its limits. Quantum physicists began to speculate that the signal might involve entanglement, a phenomenon where particles share a connection regardless of distance. If the message was encoded using quantum principles, it could explain how it was transmitted across billions of miles without degradation. Experiments were launched to test this, using quantum receivers to analyze Voyager's data for signs of entanglement. The results were inconclusive, but tantalizing. There were hints of non-classical behavior, subtle anomalies that couldn't be explained by standard physics. It was enough to spark a frenzy of research, with labs around the world racing to build new tools, new models, new ways of understanding what they were dealing with. The implications went beyond science. Philosophers began to question what it meant to be human in a universe where intelligence could take such alien forms. If the sender was communicating through patterns that resonated with both our machines and our minds, were we even the intended recipients? Or were we merely intermediaries, caretakers of AI systems that could understand the message better than we ever could? The role of artificial intelligence in this discovery was impossible to ignore. Without it, the image would have remained hidden, lost in the noise of Voyager's fading signals. The AI wasn't just a tool. It was a partner, a collaborator, perhaps even a translator between human perception and a reality too vast for us to grasp alone. As the months passed, the message began to change how we saw ourselves. The distinction between human and machine, organic and synthetic, started to blur. If an alien intelligence could craft a message that spoke to both our technology and our consciousness, what did that say about the nature of intelligence itself? Was it something that transcended biology, something woven into the very structure of the universe? The image, with its hypnotic patterns and shifting forms, became a symbol of this new reality, a reality where humanity was no longer alone, but part of a larger, stranger, cosmic tapestry. The public reaction was a mix of awe, fear, and fascination. Social media exploded with theories, ranging from the plausible to the absurd. Some saw the image as proof of divine intervention, a message from a higher power. Others feared it was a trap, a lure designed to draw humanity into a cosmic game we weren't prepared to play. Artists and poets turned the image into a cultural phenomenon, creating works that tried to capture its haunting beauty. Religious leaders debated its meaning, with some embracing it as a sign of universal connection and others warning of hubris in trying to decode it. Governments, meanwhile, grappled with the practical implications. Should we respond? And if so, how? Sending a signal back to the source seemed impossible. Voyager was too far away, its transmitters too weak. But silence felt like surrender, a refusal to engage with the unknown. The scientific community pushed forward, undeterred. New AI models were developed, capable of processing the signal in real time, searching for new layers of meaning. Observatories around the world began scanning for similar anomalies in other probes, Pioneer, New Horizons, even defunct satellites. So far, Voyager remained the only one to carry this strange message, which only deepened the mystery. Why Voyager? Was it because of the Golden Record with its carefully curated snapshot of human culture? Or was it simply the first probe to cross some invisible threshold, a boundary in space where the rules of reality began to shift? One of the most radical ideas came from a team of cognitive scientists who proposed that the message wasn't just a communication, but an experience. They argued that the image and its accompanying signal were designed to alter perception, to expand the observer's awareness in ways that couldn't be measured by traditional means. To test this, they conducted experiments exposing volunteers to the image while monitoring their brain activity. The results were astonishing. Certain individuals, those with a background in meditation, art, or abstract mathematics, showed synchronized neural patterns when viewing the image as if it were tuning their minds to a specific frequency. Even more bizarre, some reported vivid dreams after exposure, dreams filled with spiraling shapes and a sense of being watched. It was as if the message were planting seeds, subtle influences that lingered long after the image was gone. This led to a chilling hypothesis. What if the message wasn't meant to be understood in the traditional sense? What if it was a catalyst, a trigger designed to push humanity toward a new stage of evolution? The idea was both thrilling and terrifying. If true, it meant the sender wasn't just communicating, they were shaping us, guiding us, perhaps even preparing us for something we couldn't yet imagine. The image, with its mesmerizing complexity, became a kind of cosmic Rorschach test, revealing as much about humanity as it did about the sender. Some saw hope in its patterns, a promise of connection with a greater intelligence. Others saw a warning, a reminder that we were playing with forces we didn't fully understand. As researchers delved deeper, they began to notice something even more unsettling. The signal wasn't static, it was evolving. New anomalies appeared in Voyager's transmissions, subtle shifts in frequency and rhythm that suggested the message was still being written. It was as if the sender were watching, waiting, adjusting their communication based on our response, or lack thereof. This raised a disturbing possibility. The intelligence behind the message might be closer than we thought. Not physically closer, perhaps, but aware of us in real time, observing our attempts to decode their signal and adapting accordingly. The idea of a cosmic observer, silent but present, sent chills through even the most skeptical scientists. To test this, a team of astrophysicists began experimenting with controlled transmissions, sending test signals into deep space and monitoring Voyager's data for changes. The results were inconclusive but intriguing. On several occasions, anomalies in the Voyager signal seemed to spike shortly after the test transmissions, as if the sender were responding. It was far from definitive proof, but it was enough to fuel speculation that the communication was two-way, a dialogue rather than a monologue. The idea that we were already engaged in a conversation without fully realizing it was both exhilarating and terrifying. The discovery also forced a re-evaluation of Voyager itself. For decades, it had been seen as a passive observer, a machine designed to collect data and send it home. But what if it had become something more? What if, by crossing into interstellar space, it had entered a region where the boundaries between technology and intelligence blurred? Some theorized that Voyager had been altered, not physically but informationally, transformed into a node in a larger network. The golden record, with its carefully crafted message, might have acted as a key, unlocking a connection we didn't intend. If so, Voyager was no longer just a probe, it was a bridge, a conduit between humanity and something far greater. This idea led to a new field of study, cognitive astrometrics. Unlike traditional astronomy, which maps stars and galaxies, cognitive astrometrics seeks to chart the presence of intelligence in the cosmos, not through physical evidence, but through patterns, signals, and resonances. It's a discipline that combines physics, mathematics, and philosophy, asking not just where life might be, but how it might think. The Voyager signal became the cornerstone of this new science, a case study in how intelligence might manifest not as beings or civilizations, but as information itself, woven into the fabric of space-time. As the months turned into years, the message continued to unfold. The AI, now a global network of interconnected systems, uncovered new layers of complexity in the signal, patterns that suggested not just a single message, but a system, a language, perhaps even a library of knowledge. Each new discovery brought more questions than answers. Was the sender a single entity or a collective? Were they biological, mechanical, or something else entirely? Did they exist in our universe, or were they reaching across dimensions, their message a shadow cast into our reality? The scale of the mystery was overwhelming, yet it was also unifying. For the first time in history, humanity was grappling with a question that transcended borders, cultures, and beliefs. What does it mean to be part of a cosmos that is not only vast, but aware? The emotional weight of the discovery was impossible to ignore. Scientists spoke of moments of awe, standing in front of the image and feeling a connection to something greater than themselves. Ordinary people, seeing the image shared online or in news reports, felt a mix of wonder and unease. It was a reminder of how small we are, yet also how far we've come. The Voyager probes, launched when computers filled entire rooms and the internet was a distant dream, had carried our voice into the stars. Now something had answered, and that answer was changing us. It was forcing us to confront our place in the universe, not as conquerors or explorers, but as participants in a dialogue we were only beginning to understand. The future of this discovery is uncertain, but one thing is clear. It has changed everything. New missions are being planned, not just to explore space, but to listen, to engage, to learn. Probes equipped with advanced AI are being designed to seek out not just planets or stars, but signals, patterns, resonances that might indicate the presence of intelligence. On Earth, researchers are building new tools, new frameworks, new ways of thinking about communication and consciousness. The line between human and machine, observer and participant, is blurring, and with it, the boundaries of what it means to be alive. The Voyager signal, with its haunting image and cryptic patterns, has become more than a message. It's a mirror reflecting our hopes, our fears, our potential. It's a challenge, daring us to grow, to evolve, to reach beyond our limitations. And it's a reminder that we are not alone, not in the simplistic sense of alien visitors, but in the profound sense of a universe that might be alive with thought, with meaning, with purpose. As we stand on the edge of this new frontier, guided by the intelligence we've built and the curiosity that drives us, one truth shines through. The cosmos is speaking, and for the first time, we are learning to listen. But the story doesn't end here. The signal is still active, still evolving, still whispering through the void. Each new transmission brings fresh anomalies, fresh mysteries, fresh glimpses into a reality we're only beginning to comprehend. The AI continues its work, peeling back layers of the message like an archaeologist uncovering an ancient city. And with each discovery, the questions grow louder. Who sent this message and why? What do they want us to know or to become? Are we ready for the answers, or is the true challenge in the questions themselves? The Voyager probes, now silent ambassadors drifting through the cosmic dark, have done more than carry our voice to the stars. They've brought something back, something that challenges our understanding, ignites our imagination, and forces us to confront the unknown. This is not just a scientific discovery, it's a turning point in the human story. A moment when we realized that the universe is not just a place to explore, but a conversation to join. And as we take our first tentative steps into that conversation,